Today concluded my training for the North American Powerlifting Federation NAPF Championships. Just so you know, NAPF it's part of USA Powerlifting. It's a little confusing. USA Powerlifting represents the US, the IPF is the World Championships, and the NAPF represents North America. So the North American Championships, it used to be called the Pan Am Games. And I wanted to tell a little story. Back in 1996, 20 years ago, I competed in my first IPF sanctioned event. At that point, there was no such thing as the North American Powerlifting Federation, APF. It was just the IPF Pan Am Games. In 1996, I went to Hamilton, Canada, which is just below Toronto, and competed in the Pan Am Championships, my first IPF event. The journey was I started lifting in 3-lift competition in 1990. So in 1999, it was my 9th year. So the journey for this championships was kind of funny and unforgettable. I was going into my junior year of college. It was my first semester at Penn State University main campus. So for those outside of Pennsylvania, you can go to the Penn State satellite campuses, and then for 2 years, and then at that time there was no 4-year degrees at the satellite campuses, and then you move on to State College to finish your 4-year degree or your master's degree or move on. So 1996, I got in the car with my parents, got all my stuff for the dorm room in State College. For those at Penn State, I was moving into the Hamilton dorm over in the west portion over by Rec Hall on the campus of Penn State University. Moved my stuff in on like a Wednesday. I think I was a couple days earlier than most of the students. It was, but I then got back in the car. Same day, didn't stay there. Unloaded, and then we drove north through. I don't even know how we got there. We drove straight north and went to, through Buffalo into Hamilton, Canada. I was lifting in the 100-kilo class, and I was a very light 100 kilos. Just 4 weeks earlier, I had lifted at the USPF Men's Nationals. Now, mind you, 1996, I would have been 20 years old. And I lifted in the 96 Senior Nationals with Ed Cohen, Kirk Kowalski, Dave Ricks, Wade Hooper, Gene Bell, and I was 20 years old. So head up to the Pan Am Games, and ends up being the first time I meet Brad Gillingham. Brad Gillingham was lifting, Rob Wagner, and we lifted in the Pan Am Games, and I was lifting there and did my first 600-pound squat, and somehow the coach, Robert Keller, my previous best deadlift was, I want to say, 590. I don't remember. It was around 600. He loaded up 640 to move me up in and get a silver medal, but I just missed the lockout, and that was a ridiculous attempt. To this day, it was a stupid attempt. But I almost got it, so he thinks he's still the right call. But anyway, so the Pan Am Games in 1996 was my first IPF event. I just concluded my training 20 years later. I'm going back to that same event. I consider it the same event. It's now called the North American Championships, with the hopes that maybe I could long shot, maybe get into the summer, the World Games next summer. For those folks who are watching the Olympics, powerlifting is not an Olympic sport. It is a petitioning sport, and what that means is we're following the guidelines of the World Anti-Doping. We're adhering to the IOC policies and rules on who can lift and some of the bureaucracy that goes with the IOC rules. And with that, the summer after the Olympic events, the Olympic Games, which is going on right now in Brazil, you get to compete against in a petitioning city, which is next summer's in Poland. There's only 2 positions in my weight class. They put the 264, 120 kilo, and the super heavyweight together. And by rule, there's only allowed 2 lifters per country per that group. So I have to go against Blaine Sumner and Preston Turner. And they both have the opportunity to out-total me and go at the World Championships this year in Orlando. So, but this event puts my total out there. If one of those guys have a poor day, or they, for whatever reason, have to back out of injury or whatever, something bad happened, I would be able to compete next summer in an IOC, what's considered the IOC Olympic event, for powerlifting and other petitioning sports. So 4 years ago, I just missed the criteria. This time, I did not. After that happened, I was thinking I was done. And then the last couple of years, I was thinking I was done. I've had a lot of hip issues. I'm now 26 years competing. Maybe 27. I gotta go look at the map. My first 3 lift was in 91, but I did a 2 lift in 1990, and I have done a 3 lift every year, a 3 lift competition since 1991. I have not missed 1 year. So that, and most years I did at least three lifts. So do the math on that one. I've had pretty good longevity. I am a drug-tested, drug-free athlete, and I'm still doing pretty good numbers. So speaking of that, okay, so today I finished my training, and I'm off to get some chiropractic care tonight. I've had some things come up in training that kind of tweaked me up, and going for a chiropractic care, and just trying to take care of things, getting ready for this meet.